Chapter 3, The Corporate Communities Haradjaon. The data of the chief's authority. On this issue, the Batak's attitude consists along lines of reasoning that are different from Western approach. This cannot be better demonstrated than by quoting an episode from the collection of tales called Toksani Halak Batak, Tales of the Batak People. Therein is told the story of a mighty Raja who had lost his wealth and power through his own fault. He had even been struck with a misfortune that his daughter had been abducted by a tiger who had taken her to a desolate forest to become his wife. The daughter knew the circumstances of her father's life, so when he had tracked her down with much difficulty, she received him sympathetically and offered him a meal, resolving at the same time to investigate the condition of her father's Sahala by divination, Tarutung. Her object was to find out whether the Sahala Haradjaon, the particular quality of citizenship which a man can have, no longer dwelt within him, so miat be bana. She therefore divided the small animal she had slaughtered for the meal into 3 parts. The parts which have a name, the namagoang, she put into one pot, the meat cut up in the ordinary way, tangona, she put into another one, the intestines, which are the parts distinct for the servants naposo, she put into a third pot. Now she thought to herself, if the Sahara has already departed from my father, he will undoubtedly take the third pot first. Yet, however, he should choose the one with the ordinary meat in it, then he is still clearly a Raja Panora, a medium sort of sheep. But if he takes hold of the pot with the namagoa in it, then that will prove that all the afflictions may have overtaken him, and I respect will again be his due in the future. The rise and decline of rulers and their lineages of their prosperity, their power, their prestige, their influence outside their own huta is regarded as an indication of the presence or absence of the spiritual potency which the tondi of a chief can possess, and which is called the Sahala. In this instance, the Sahala Haradjaon, the quality of power, the natural result of which is the Sahala Hasangapon, the quality of being respected. They are the qualities which dwell in the chief, and which, thanks to their existence, entitle him to respect, veneration, and as the bearer of authority, to docility and obedience. The dependents of such a chief can, as a result, become prosperous. They acknowledge that their relationship to a man who has luck can reflect good on them. To quote the saying, baris-baris ni gajah dihura pangalawan, molo maksuru gajah ikonoloan, molo sonioloan tubuh hamagoan, ianioloan dapat pangomoan. Rows of elephants in the Pangalawan Valley. When the Raja commands, people must obey him. Those who do not comply will suffer, but obedience brings its reward. A man who is twice imprudent, refractory to what he said, is so to his own detriment. Formerly, the outward signs that the Sahala Haradjaon and the Sahala Sangapon had disappeared, when the decrease of numerical strength of the chief's lineage, due to a low birth rate, or a high death rate. The chief sickness is linked to gambling, bad harvest in the territory, losses due to war, etc. The present equivalents are unexpected dismissal and lack of success of a son or a nephew in the subsequent election for a new chief. The signs that a person has the Sahala Niraja are to be found in some external favorable circumstances, in special traits of a person's character, or in remarkable qualities, of which the most important are the following, though not necessarily in this order. Habolonan, largeness, which refers to the large number of members in the lineage of the chief concerned, resulting from the existence therein of men, with large families stemming from grandparents and great-grandparents who were richly blessed with sons. Such an extensive lineage is the source of the greatness which formerly could possibly lead to a chief being accepted as paramount chief not only by his own group but also by other smaller segments of the marga branch. Hamoraan wealth is also an important source of authority. It reveals a successful life in which the luck of the game, such in arms, prosperity in trade, and good fortune in the cultivation of rice and in the rearing of cattle have cooperated in providing great material benefits. It gives a person power within his environment. Formerly, one could engage in a work of long duration on the strength of it, and then as now it provided the power to pay a higher marriage payment for a young daughter and thereby obtain infantile advance. It also gave one the power to hold a debtor in one's hands, etc. The main manifestation of Amoraan, however, is Panggalangan or Pertamuyon hospitality, of which the liberality is an expression of the degree to which a chief has the genuine chiefly qualities. Such hospitality is no demonstration of benevolence towards the poor, na poros, or the rich, na dangol, but a public demonstration of one's wealth, a fulfillment of the obligations by one who has acquired honor and respect. It is liberality with which is associated a blessing of our host and guests alike. Stinginess is not commendable, liberality is praiseworthy. Habisuon sagacity or pagpulungon, the art of disputation. A person in whom these qualities a natura is likewise thought to possess the true nature of a chief. He will be a partahitari, a diplomat, who a person who has many sided relationships with the outside world, or a parhata-hata, one who shows himself to be a sagacious speaker in matter of law, a person to whom people will readily submit their affairs under dispute. Formerly, such a suit chief made alliances for offense and defense. Habeguon, courage in war and firmness towards subordinates, qualities which naturally strengthen one's personally authority. Haradjaon, skill in the science of the datu, which could sometimes be found in a raja. Formerly, if a person possessed these qualities, it signified that he had the qualifications to govern. Such prominent chiefs were among those the first government administrators and the missionaries came to know. The Sahala Niraja dwelling in them was the source of their success, and this in its turn was the manifestation of it. It was found in the person who possessed it, and its expression was in his behavior and the results of his advice. If it was attached to one's house, it could pass to one's descendants. It provided authority is indispensable for the maintenance of order and peace, for the observance of judicial decisions, for obtaining the assistance and cooperation of dependents against the outside world. It contributed to increasing the prosperity of the people as much by words as deeds. An area with a powerful chief prospered. Theoretically, the development of a strong personal authority over large groups belonging together could have come about had it not been for the vigorous, ambitious, and obstinate character of the people and the cording together of people who were blood kinsmen. They are like trees that are too close together, they rub against each other, as the saying goes. And indeed, almost every region has known periods in which powerful and still renowned Raja have exercised a wide-ranging authority. But in display of power and counterpower, only the mightiest and most capable personalities could assert themselves and maintain their position for a long time. The start of this type of chieftainship in the old society is well delineated in the sodium of a description of law compiled with Pangaring, the well-known Raja Paidu of Sisoding, Simamora, a chief in a region where a well-guarded Haradjaon existed. It is a rather pathetic sodium abounding in sad terms. In general, it demonstrates how authority is a source of prosperity and law, indicates the all-embracing nature of the chieftainship, and can be applied equally to an influential and authoritative village head and to the higher chiefs of a territory. Di Toba Bata jolma mangagajay uhum. Di Toba Bata do uhum mangagajay adat. Di Toba Bata do raja mangagajay luat. Asa gajayima na puna adat do uhum mangagajay akka na met dohot na magodang lahi-lahi dohot bogu-bogu. Asa gajayima pagmahan so tumiyop batahi pamuro so tumiyop sihor mangangamoton sa luhut na digomgoman na. Si kararutang si tunggu singir dinabalga dohot dinamet-met. Manguhumi si uhumon, gajaima si pukasulup, si tiop batuan na sorateleng, hatian sobonaron, mula di hata na sitong. Namanogyan halak tu panggagatan na lomak, namanagyon hanguluan niyaka ginomgoman. Maksoban paksobat pe, paksoban ni raja, madugong padugong ni raja. Maladja paladja ni raja. Pagonan ni raja. Paguma ni raja. Pangula ni raja. Saluhut nai padapota tu raja. Asadang tinada hau soikon siat pagbuena dang tinada raja na malo soikon siat pabainan na. Tibbo buluna balga hutana gabe pagipena maduma dogot ibana sinu pinahana gabe niulana. Bongin dogot arian dang dok matana managyon uhum dogot adat diaka ginomgomna pasari-sari panganonna asarong hanguluan na. If one compares this past attitude to a chief and the present day situation, it is hardly surprising that the chief complain of the whittling away of their status and of their lost greatness, and that even in the highest rank, they scarcely feel themselves to be more than Raja Panonga, a Raja of the medium sort. Today appointment and dismissal are arbitrarily effected. A new, apparently all-powerful Sahala has come into existence, that of the native administration which, despite its instructions to see that the chief's authority is upheld, strives itself after the much desired asangapon. Much that was done to undermine the chief's authority was unavoidable, but much was also done that could have been done differently. It is true that the Batak, both the people and the chiefs, with their brutal jealousies, the eternal quarreling, and their selfishness, are also guilty of the decay of the chief's position. But the officials, although they showed real zeal to develop the country economically, should have shown a greater appreciation of the social system in which the now so badly crippled chieftainship is rooted, and for customary law, adat, from which the life of the community mainly draws its sustenance. Customary law has been subjected to disruptive tendencies and to the various pressures of modern times, so that it is less than ever in a position to be deprived of the regular care and attention which it needs. In olden times, this responsibility devolved on the chiefs. They were the supporters of customary law. They were the upholds of the law. Siramoti adat doraja, siramoti ugari. Each of them, from the huta chief upward, had a specific task in this respect within his own group, in which customary law was the customary law of our grandfathers, the glory of our fathers, adat nyoputa, sahala niyamata. Such a group, however limited, is always a corporate group in which the law obtains its life and form. It is these communities, therefore, which have to absorb the tensions to which the law is exposed by modern life. They have to effect the coordination between the new demands of modern life and the forms which have grown during a long period of time. In these communities, this law is withering through neglect and through the bringing down of the chief's authority instead of developing, and it is becoming disassociated from the life of people, which as a result is exposed to the dangers of disintegration. Customary law can only continue to be what it should be, a firm base from preserving the unity of society by a well-guided administration of the law by the chiefs.